Hey guys, Troy here, and I have a discussion, and I wanted to share just a little bit of that. The upcoming town council meeting for the month of October is just a couple of days from now. And I was looking over the agenda because I wanted to see what kind of items they would have. And there's an information pack. It's all available online now, which, by the way, thank you, Town of Selma, for finally doing that, because years ago I asked for this stuff to be put online. And the more I dig into it now, now granted, it's not all in one spot, and I wish we could do a little better of consolidating where it is, but you can link to the services that they use for that sort of stuff. So it's selma-nc.com, and you can just link your way to find this stuff, which is what I did, okay? So I got it pulled up on my computer over here, and one of the things on the agenda that just kind of piqued my curiosity, not that it was a huge thing, but I'm just curious, because when I look at stuff, I'm like, what's the rationale behind that? I don't know. But there is the cemetery update, a resolution authorizing possession of a cemetery. Two different cemeteries that are within the area that don't belong to the town. They are private cemeteries that apparently the town is going to take over. And what that means is that we are going to be doing the maintenance on those. So, I, being the curious sort, I actually text messaged my town councilman, and I asked. I said, "Hey, what's the deal behind that? What's the rationale behind it, and what's the benefit to the town?" And basically, I was told that the rationale, at least for one of them, was that it was agreed years ago, and I don't know how many years, I just was told years, that the town had agreed to take over one of those cemeteries, and that apparently the owners of that cemetery they were under the impression that the town had already taken possession legally of it. Apparently both of these cemeteries are not kept up, and they probably look horrible and overgrown. One of them is a very old cemetery behind Selma Memorial Gardens, right off from Pollock Street. I'm familiar with that one. I've been over there before. I've taken a look. So I know right where that one is. The other one that I was just referring to, that the owners thought that we had taken it over as a town, that one I'm not quite as familiar with. So I'll eventually find that one. So we've got several cemeteries around Selma, okay? And apparently we're going to take over those two. I've got mixed feelings on that. It kind of, to me, is the same mentality of how the town ended up with a swimming pool, and how the town ended up taking over an old gym that became some storage, that became a meeting place for the American Legion, that is now our civic center. It's one of those things that, hey, we can't take care of it ourselves, so why don't we just have the municipality, why don't they have the town take it over, and we'll have everything at taxpayer expense? That's a problem to me, all right? Now, I understand that we want to live up to the commitment that the town made to the owners of that one cemetery. Okay, fine. The other cemetery, it's been there for years. I mean, from what I read, they don't even know who owns it. The plots are on a map, the plots are registered with the county, but apparently nobody knows who owns that other one, so it pretty much just sits there behind the town cemetery, and nobody takes care of it, because nobody apparently knows who owns it, or who's supposed to be running it, or why. So, I'm back and forth on this in my thought process, because number one, if they're overgrown, and I know that one of them is, because I haven't seen the other one, laid eyeballs on it yet. One of them I know for sure doesn't really look good. But apparently, and this to me is irrelevant to the topic at hand, a lot of people thought the town already owned them, and we just weren't maintaining them. To me, that's irrelevant. I don't care if people thought we owned them or not. Don't care. And the next discussion point I had was, what benefit is it to the town? Well, essentially, the benefit was that it's going to look a whole lot better than it was. It's going to look maintained, and that there are a lot of veterans' graves between those two cemeteries, and that it's disgraceful, essentially, for veterans and their graves to be so overgrown. Well, my response to that, well, number one, it's a shame for any cemetery to be all overgrown and not taken care of, and be landscaped and the grass cut, veterans or not. If you own a cemetery, whether you're a private corporation, whether you are a group, an agency, a family, it doesn't matter. If you own it, you need to step up and you need to take care of it. Period. Out of respect, number one, for the people who lived and died, and the people who, the families who have people buried there, you should step up to the plate. All right. The next part of it, however, is where me as a taxpayer and me as a citizen, I look at it of, that's not my responsibility or your responsibility as someone who lives here in town to take care of everybody else's problem. Now, the one that is behind Selma Memorial Gardens, it's adjacent to our property. It's adjacent to a cemetery we already own, and I can understand people thinking that it already belongs to the town because it abuts our own. And that one, since nobody knows who owns it, okay, let's incorporate that into ours. And that one really is no extra, very little extra effort, hopefully, to take care of it. The other one, I don't know. Like I said, haven't seen it yet, don't know how big it is, and don't know how much it's going to take. But the bottom line is the taxpayers of Selma are going to be doing the upkeep, the maintenance on these two cemeteries. Like, as a taxpayer, I've got a problem with it in that we just can't have the mentality that we're just going to take over everything that somebody can't take care of themselves. That's not the purpose of government. That's not what I keep preaching about, freedom and responsibility. You have the freedom to own the property. You also have the responsibility to keep it up and maintain it and not lay the burden on the rest of the taxpayers. Not every good idea should be pursued. Should we be doing this in the future? I don't know. I guess it would have to be a case-by-case basis, and we would have to see some benefit to it. For instance, in either of these cemeteries, I don't know if somebody can be buried in them anymore. I don't know if the town, if we own that, and it's under the jurisdiction of our cemetery department, if we can, in fact, sell cemetery plots there like we do in Selma Memorial Gardens. No idea. Those are things that will have to be looked into and taken into consideration as to whether that's even doable and is justifiable on the taxpayer dime. So, anyway, just throwing that out there in the mindset that comes along with it. And, you know, I'm always wanting to look out for you, look out for me. It's in my best interest sometimes to say no, or the town to say no. And the same goes for you and for every other taxpayer here. Sometimes it's not a bad investment. If it's a decent investment and it'll benefit the town, I can see taking it over because there's no real expense other than the maintenance of it. Just food for thought. All right, I'm Troy. VoteForTroy.com. If you like that mentality, if you like where I'm coming from, and you like the idea that I'm advocating freedom, responsibility, and looking out for you, the taxpayer, vote for me.